Hello and welcome to the Paul O'Connor podcast, where we'll be talking about the motor trade, entrepreneurship, business and beyond. I'm joined today by Adam. This episode is going to be a little bit different than I suppose I normally do. Adam is just after starting a car sales business, previously a car detailer, so he's kind of balloting the cars. And you left a comment, I think, on a TikTok video I did, kind of suggesting for a podcast to do kind of a live mentoring session where I suppose you might, as a startup garage, might want to ask me a few questions for someone, as someone that has done it. And I thought it'd make good content because I do spend quite a lot of time talking to people looking for advice that are starting out, and I'm often talking to people, messaging people back and bits and pieces of advice. So I'm hoping that you and anyone watching or listening might get a bit of value. We want to talk about business, I suppose, growing car sale business, and whatever way you want to go with it. So should be a good chat, and I suppose in order to best direct the chat, I need to find out a bit more about you. So for me, and I suppose for everyone else listening or watching, tell us a bit about yourself.
So I am just after starting this year my own dealership, I suppose you could call it. Before that, I was the last 3 or 4 years running my own car detailing business. And then before that, I was a mechanic since I left school. So
Very mechanic. What?
I actually started off in a kind of a backstreet garage, served my apprenticeship there, and then I went to Audi main dealer, and then so then I actually went after that to Intel for a while, which a lot of lads did, and got sick of that, and then that's when I went out on my own. So.
And when you went out on your own, say car detailing, was that something that you were doing on the side of it?
Yeah. So I would have been doing that kind of maybe 10 or 11 years kind of thing. I was always since I got into cars, I was always polishing them up, and then doing friends' cars. I would have been into kind of show cars, that type of scene. So there's a kind of a mixture of okay, I'll polish up a car, clean up a car, and then it's in a show, that's great or whatever, but then the other side of that was I started polishing cars for myself, and I was going, I'm gonna have to put some serious value into this just by cleaning it up a bit, and then it's over the past few years it's kind of all just kind of led to this moment now where I'm about to hopefully grow a good dealership. So, and
what was the moment that you decided, right, I like car detailing but I want to move into sales? What was the kind of...
Yeah, it was kind of a tough one. It was more along the lines of I was going, okay, you're making all right money doing car detailing. It is kind of a little bit seasonal, I suppose you could say.
It's a bit busier in summer.
A lot busier in summer. It's always flat out in summer, and then some winters you're kind of just in the snow and all. You're no cars to be done. You're that's just kind of hard. But I was kind of just thinking along the lines of just trying to grow something bigger. I was always going without kind of being bad or whatever. I was kind of looking around other detailing businesses in Ireland. I'm kind of going, do I want to be like them? And the answer was no. And I was look, even the most successful lads are not necessarily where I would want to be in life. And then I was kind of looking around, and I was going, right, actually it was my fiance. She turned around and said to me, I was saying something, and I was like, man, I feel fucking just depressed or something like that. And she was like, do you know what it is? I was like, what? And she was like, you haven't sold something in ages. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, you're always I was always buying a car, polishing it up, a little project, set it on. And she's like, you haven't had a project car in so long, to do up or whatever. And I was like, do you know what? I was like, that's right. She's kind of planting a little seed. And then I was just do you know what? I was like, I could actually make a career out of that, because I had a few kind of jack cars and stuff that I had in COVID when the price went up high. I had made good money off as well, and I was kind of getting it going right. Well, a few cars. I was doing that anyway because that was what I enjoyed. It was my hobby of cleaning the cars, doing them up, tinkering with them, that kind of thing. Then you're making had a twin cam that I made $6 grand or $8 grand or something in the space of a couple of months, and then so now it's I'm okay, so that was the kind of get away from the detailing because of one, money, two, of every single day I'm soaking from like washing the cars, and like, you know, like your feet are like constantly wet, and like just like the kind of hardship of it with that, like and just to try and grow something bigger for myself, and just to do kind of like scale up and just go like kind of a different level of what I wanted in business, like.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I think with something like car detailing, I suppose one you're always going to be, you're setting essentially you're setting yourself for time, like, you know what I mean? It's your service that you're providing on it, and it's difficult to scale that, obviously, because you've only a finite amount of time, but it's tough to get good lads working for you, even if you were to try and get, like, I know from getting top other validators around that and detailers, just to try and get good lads working that will do things to your standard.
Yeah, definitely.
Would be very difficult. So again, the scalability of it would be certainly a bit challenging anyway. So you decided you'd go into, you had a bit of experience though selling cars, like, you know, doing a little bit of more kind of project stuff that you'd reset on, is it?
Yeah. So I never had a job as a salesman or anything like that. Actually, I actually tried 2 years ago. Hertz were opening up in Dunleary, up outside where I live. Yeah, that's it's funny. And I was like, surely they'll hire anyone. Like, went in for the interview and I was just like, yeah, we'll get back to you. Just never heard anything back.
Really?
But never, no experience with anything like that apart from myself. Just getting the cars, and it was literally just kind of like project cars that I would have do up, and then people might offer me money or something like that for them, and I'm like, oh fuck, like, you know, there's a few quid to be made there, and I enjoyed it, and then I would go back and get a different car and repeat the process over, like, you know. Yeah,
but I suppose I'd often say to people, like, people ask for advice, and I'd often recommend that they work in sales for someone else first, right?
Yeah.
You don't have that, that's fair enough, but like what you do have is like you have motor trade experience, which is more than makes up for it in its own kind of way. And the fact that you've done both, being a mechanic and being a validator as well, you know how the motor trade works as such, like, you know what I mean.
And like I did last year I was kind of thinking to myself, look, it's something I want to do. I'm always kind of trying to just grow in different ways and just get better. And I was like, right, this is, you know, something I want to do, and let's just see where it goes. I went to a guy and just a lad that was selling cars near me, and I was just kind of asking him for advice or something like that, like, and I was like, and he was like, do you want to do like a couple of days here a week to try and see like how you like it? I was like, oh yeah, you know, that's grand, like I'm still running the detailing business and at least I'll get a bit of experience. And I think it was like the first week I started, after the first week he was like, will you come full time with me? Like, he's like, you're actually good, like you're this is something that you could do, like. So I was like, fuck, I was like, you know, I thought, I actually said to him, I was like, look, if it's working well money wise, I'll do it with you, like, you know. So we did a good commission and stuff like that. And it was with him for just kind of a couple of months.
You did a couple of months.
Just a couple of months, and then I was like, do you know what? He kept saying to me, he's like, just like, it's time to go out on your own, like, you know, just do it. He's like, look, you are ready. So he was sound enough to let me kind of sell a few through his place.
That's good.
So that's how I started off, and then I was like, right, like one day, like he didn't have too much room or whatever, like maybe 30 cars or something like that. And one day I was like looking, and I was like, all the cars outside, they were like all mine, and I was like, okay, I think it's time to get my own place, you know. No,
definitely. And you mentioned there earlier as well about you know, detail wasn't going to, I suppose, give you what you wanted, or get your maybe your where you want to go in life and all that. Like, what do you want? Like, what's your, because what I want is different to what other people want. And everyone's different. So I suppose it's best to know ideally what you want out of this, like, because
I know, and it's such a tough one, and that's also like part of what I wanted to talk about today with you, is like, where do you go and what do you do, and how much is too much and how much work do you put in, and there's so many kind of questions about that, like, you know. Some of those answers to those questions I don't even have for myself, because it changes the whole time, and I say to the lads the whole time, it's like, if you ask me, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, I'm 36 now, like, so if you asked me when I started off when I was 30 what I wanted, I'm like, I want to be fucking biggest in the country, I want to have a conglomerate of garages and all that, and now I'm kind of like, I'd be one of the bigger independent garages around for sure, but like, do I want to be massive? I do want to grow, and I will add other legs onto what I'm doing, like, but I'm just trying to concentrate to find the balance between I suppose
obviously making money, but also you don't want to blink and wake up and all of a sudden you're 64 and you've been working your whole life and you haven't seen your kids grow up. And I've had this chat with a load of different people. So it's just kind of fine tuning, I suppose, what you want, and that's a kind of that's a live process. It constantly changes and evolves and things like that. Like, but I suppose let's go shorter term. Like, what do you want to be? Where do you want to be in 5 years' time, ideally?
Yeah, I mean, like for me, it was kind of like I was really into cars. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I love classic cars. I love kind of sports cars, that sort of thing. And I'm like, I would love to do, especially with like my detailing and stuff like that. It's like when I was detailing, it was always kind of like high end cars, and that's what I love to be around. That's what I love. You know, that's what I like. For me, it's kind of like, so I'm gonna try and be, you know, sticking to, let's see how luxurious I can get, or how, you know, sport cars I can get. But like, I feel like it's like at the minute I'm like, okay, because obviously I'm trying to build it up, I'm trying to get the money to do that as well. Though, you know, if I got a sporty car in now and something went wrong on it, that could break me. So I think it's like that's the down the line goal is to get there.
I think as well, you have to build up to that point as well. Like this would be my opinion on it. Like, I think when you start off, and I checked your done deal and things this morning, like you just like you kind of start cars, you kind of like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 grand car, that kind of thing. Like, I started that. I think most garages do, and because it's a necessity really as well, because you don't have, again, I don't know about your financials, but like you don't have the money to be buying 30, 40 grand cars when you start out. That'll be all your money, or it could be whatever. Like, you know, so you have to build up to that point, and as well as that, build up to point financially yourself as well. But it's good to get experience selling some of the kind of cheaper stuff first. And it's good to get.
It's nearly like doing, like, I was actually thinking before, I was like, you know, for me before I was like, okay, I've done my like apprenticeship and stuff like that. And it's like you have like specific, you know, like a route or a path to take or something like that. It's like, you know, you go up in your levels or whatever. But there's nothing really like an apprenticeship for car sales. But then I was kind of thinking to myself, well, like technically I'm in that now of like you starting out with the kind of like cheaper yokes and like, you know, the €1,000 to whatever 3-4 grand yokes. Then you're kind of building it up and up and up, and it's like I feel like already I'm like learning different like things about different people, about like for it's like the more expensive cars they go, the kind of easier it is to sell, like, you know. I'm like,
no, it is. As soon as,
I don't know how long that's going to last now, but
no, I'd be honest with you, and literally anyone that I've been chatting the same, the sooner you can, for your own sake and for your wallet and that, you can get away from selling 4, 5, 6 grand cars and move up to slightly newer stuff, slightly better stuff, the better it's going to be in general, right? But again, easier said than done sometimes as well. And sometimes as well, it's easy, you know, when you're a new garage, people go, what's this lad's story? Who is this fella now? Anyone will trust someone within reason. If you're any type of garage and you're selling a 7 grand car, they're going to give you a go, because any of the bigger guys won't sell the 7 grand car. So by default, you will get business that way. Whereas if you were, so who's the Divine Motors, right? And it's like, I never know anyone who's bought a car there. And you have a 25 grand car. People are going to be a bit hesitant, because it's a much bigger purchase and a much bigger decision. And it's like, and this is absolutely no discredit towards what you were doing. It's just because you're new. You know, if it's a case of buying a 25 grand car off an unknown entity essentially, or a 25 grand car off a garage with 500 different Google reviews, and 5 years of business or whatever it is, that people would probably gravitate towards kind of the safer bet. So it's kind of like you said, it is kind of like an apprenticeship, kind of getting the kind of cheaper cars and building up to the point. I suppose what you need to do at this point above all else is build up your pot as much as possible. Remember when I started, I started off, I've mentioned this video before, I started off 50 grand that I had myself, and I got 60 grand through overdrafts and a loan from AIB and things like that, and I started from here, and I just built it up, and I was obsessed with efficiency and getting money in, and like, you know, I used to be sending my parents over to the UK to buy cars. I'd buy a car on a Thursday, pay for it Friday morning, and I'd have my parents over on a flight to bring back to them on a Saturday morning. And because I didn't want to be waiting a week or 10 days, which was too much money for me for a transport company to bring over. And then I'd have landed in Monday morning, I could have a VRT pre-inspected on Tuesday or Wednesday, and then I could have sold by the weekend, all in the time that it would have taken while I was waiting for the transporter or car transport to bring it over. I just send over just friends of mine and all that, just over to collect cars for me and all that, and they pay it. And it was essentially I would have had a heart failure if someone tried to pay me with a bank draft, for example. It takes 4 days to clear, unless it was AAB, because I'm AAB. I was like, okay, bank transfer, no bother, please. Finance, okay, yeah, grand, but I need to get all your proofs in quick. So what you need to be focused on more than anything else, and at the moment, is just build up your pot, right? Because build up your pot will give you options. It'll give you options for everything. It'll give you options for stock. It'll give you options for expanding the business. But you know, it's like you're in an airplane and they say, you know, your masks come down and look after yourself first. You need to look after your kind of pot. And then it gives you a bit of cushion as well if something did go wrong. If you did a higher end car, there was a $5,000 warranty problem, it's not going to crucify you for a week or two. So that would be my first piece of advice, because I said the older stuff is it's grand and it's good, and it's also good for you as well at the moment, in a way that, like, it gets you used to the process of everything. Like, do you know what I mean? You get used to dealing with customers. I know you've been dealing with your own business before, but like, it's getting used to dealing with, let's say,
it is a different style of customer though. It's very different.
It gets you dealing with after sales, and it gets you dealing with like just little things like change of ownerships, like warranty issues. You know, buying trade cars off other garages. It'll build you contacts and all that kind of thing as well. And where do you get your cars at the moment, actually?
So a lot of them would be a mixture of places. So I have, like, I'd go to the auction that's up at Merlin's.
Oh, Merlin's,
it's actually only a couple of minutes for me. And then there's another garage that's behind me, and so he's kind of giving me his trade-ins and stuff like that as well. And actually, just even from being up in the auctions and talking to a few of the traders and stuff like that, they're just saying, look, there's a few lads, they have like WhatsApp group chats and stuff like that, so I'm in a few of those group chats.
We've one as well, lad you.
Sounds good. And then actually I had a couple of people just text me from like Instagram and stuff like that as well already, social media, and so got a couple of cars off that actually was really handy to do, like, you know, and made a few quid off them, like.
I find the depends really, I suppose, what you're looking for, but like what is essential as well in what you're doing is find out what is selling well for you. And the problem is sometimes when you're buying off the trade, let's say, for example, if you're buying off other garages, right? I'm not saying don't do it, but you're kind of just buying what you get offered, you know what I mean? What's important to do as well is, like, you know, it's like, do you know what, Polos are selling well for me, or the Tucson's are selling, whatever it is, they're selling well, I might buy another one. And sometimes then you have to, and you and we'll be touching your social media, which has been great as well, might add. It's like, you know, you kind of have to actively pursue certain types of cars that are working well for you, especially when, like, how many cars do you stock at the moment?
At the minute, I think I have around 16 or 17.
That's a decent amount, but you want to be selective what you stock as well. Like, you probably notice already some stuff is selling good for you, some stuff kind of stick.
And then there's also stuff that, like, let's say, back when I was in, you know, the garage, the independent garage and stuff like that, we would have done a lot of Volkswagens, and then obviously after that I went to Audi, so like I'd have more knowledge about, like, the VAG cars and stuff like that. So then I was getting in a couple of Citroens and stuff like that, French yokes, and I was like, I just didn't like them, I didn't know them, I didn't, you know what I mean? I'm like, look, if something happens with a Polo or a Golf or something like that, it's like, you know, I know them like the back of my hand kind of thing. I know, like, you know, how much it's going to cost me to fix it or whatever, that kind of thing. And then, like, there's also a few of, like, they seem to sell better, I think, as well. Like, you know, I had, like, I had a Polo there last week. I could have sold it 5 times in a day. Like, the same.
So what year is it?
It was a 12 DSG.
They're just like golden. We'd have traders fighting over them. Like, whenever we have something like that, like, it's just. What it is with Polos and things like Golfs, it's like they're at the forefront of everyone's head. It's like somebody like want to start a car for the son or daughter, or even a young person, right? When they think of a small car, something like, and the first car always comes to their head is a Polo.
No
one says something like a Citroen DS3. No one in the history of the world has ever said that.
But see, for me, there was a kind of a weird thing though of, as you had said about, like, okay, if someone is buying a car, more than likely they're going to buy it off a reputable garage that's been in business a long time, right? But then I was looking up cars, and let's say there's, you know, the Polos or whatever like that. You search Done Deal, you put in the years, 1.2 petrol or whatever, and it's like comes up like 300 or 400 cars on the market, like with dealers and stuff like that as well. But then there's other cars that were, so I was like, right, so I'm, you know, a little fish in a big pond then. But then there's other cars that were like, you know, there could have been 25 of them available or something like that, and I was going, oh well, like I'm only one of 25 then, so there's a lot less competition. But then I was like thinking that way. But then all the ones I got that there was loads, they were selling like that, like, you know. So I was like, it's such a weird thing like that.
Like sometimes it can be daunting when you see, let's say, like, oh, there's 412 polos for sale online. But you have to remember, if there's a car that there's 20 of them online, there's probably 20 times the demand for the car that there's 400 of as well. And like as well as that, like, I would never be mind how many there is advertised for sale. Like what you want to try and do is when you're selling cars to, like, if you're opening a sweet shop, for example, you wouldn't open your sweet shop and right beside another 10 of them, like, right? And what I mean by that is, like, you know, if you're trying to do the exact same things every other garage does, selling the exact same cars, you're going to be the same as a load of sweet shops next to each other. You want to just position yourself a little bit outside of, a bit different what you're doing, and what's a massive tool for that is what you're doing is social media. You know, I was watching your videos, you know, you're kind of like, this is my startup journey and all that, like, that's great stuff, like, do you know what I mean? But it's because people might see 400 car polos for sale altogether on Dundee, but they might have only watched one TikTok video, and that would be your one, like, for example. And people are on TikTok a lot more than they're on Dundee, especially people when they're looking at, like, fucking 12 polos, for example. They mightn't be necessarily car heads, like, you know what I mean? It's different on Dundee, lads be looking at twin cams and skylines and all that, like, then they look on Dundee. But for people that aren't interested in cars, they just check social media. They just see what's in front of them, like,
like, I did find that, like, even the likes of TikTok and stuff like that for the polos and that kind of a thing, like, the kind of, let's just even say more like of the girls that are on, like, they're all finding you through, like, TikTok and stuff like that, like, you know, it's kind of mad, like.
No, it is, it's as I was saying I heard recently as well, like, so you have to put yourself as the, you know, the go-to person in whatever you're doing. Like, for example, like, people are going to have to change their car anyway. What were all the cars that we're selling here, like, so, you know, I've 2016 Golfs, for example. Are they much better than other garages 2016 Golfs? They're a little bit better, maybe, like, they're better prepped and all have a good warranty, but by and large they're the same. We're getting the same auctions in Japan and all that. But I'm out there a lot more. I'm on social media, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, we're everywhere. So then if people are thinking of changing, I was like, well, I'm going to have to change my car anyway. I'm going to buy a 16 Golf anyway. I might as well buy it from you because you're right in front of me. Do you know what I mean? And that's what works. A lot of businesses that do well, it's not that what they're selling is that particularly good. It's just that they're out there and they're in the forefront of people's mind, I suppose, as much as possible.
So how long are you doing the social media kind of stuff?
Well, I'm doing, like, I was heavy on Instagram since I started, so 6 years. 6 years. This month actually I opened. So heavy on Instagram since the start, and Facebook, which was bigger 6 years ago than it is now. TikTok then maybe 2.5 years maybe. And I 2.5 years on the business page. I started doing my personal page then, I don't know, a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. It's been a good tool. It's social media is I like it, right, and I like doing it, and you kind of have to. I think some lads, they stop doing it because they don't particularly enjoy doing it, and they it's forced, like, you know what I mean, like, so like, I enjoyed it, but it's a slog of a process, like, it takes time, like, even just editing videos and doing.
I know, because that's the thing now, like, I'm on my own, so I'm kind of going, like, that's one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about is, like, as in how worth it, I don't even know if that's the right way of saying it, but, like, is it worth it to put focus on, you know, doing TikTok or doing social media or whatever, versus, like, still trying to build up your business and sell cars? Do you know what I mean? As in, like, for the time it takes, is it worth it to do all that sort of stuff? Like,
It is. It definitely is. Like, it's kind of what I would recommend someone if they're caught for time, right? Is we say we do it here. We don't do it as much as I preach we should do it. Like, is the, like, block a time out and say, right, this, and have to do it in the morning. If you're doing any social media stuff, it has to be in the morning. The day, just if you're trying to do it in the afternoon, people walking in and people ringing and all that.
Ringing,
you know, just in the morning. Let's say, for example, on a Wednesday morning between 8 and 10, right? You plan it on the Tuesday, and it's like, right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do up all my social media posts and my videos for the week, right? Change a t-shirt in which you work with, so you're not. I've done that again. I don't do it a huge fight.
Turn the lights to red or something like that.
I have done it, like, and you just get them all batched out, or you can do it on a Monday morning or whatever like that. But again, if you're caught for time, I would say, and you could save everything in your drafts then as well, and then you can go stuff. Because then I think when you try and do it, I must do an on TikTok. I must do an Instagram. I don't have time. I must ring this fella back.
Yeah.
If you can try, if you're very caught for time, what I would do is plan it in advance. Think of it on say a Monday or Tuesday. So right, you want to write down what will I do, or just have it in the notes section of your phone. It's an idea for it, and do.
Definitely need to do that.
You do like 3 or 4 different posts, let's say on Instagram, for example, and film 3, bang out. And once you've done, let's say TikTok videos, once you've won one of them, you get into the swing of it, and you're in chatting form then as well.
Yeah.
And then you easily do another one, and then do another one. Then they're all
once
saved.
you're in the zone, like
they're all saved in your drafts then for the next couple of days. That's definitely what I'd recommend doing. You have a few questions, do you? I suppose we restructure it a little bit.
I
want to make sure I'm covering anything that you might have questions wise.
Yeah, so you did obviously go into a bit of funding and stuff like that you had. So like for me, I had around probably 25-30 grand, something like that when I started out. Well, in January kind of this year I started out, and so I have been talking to a place about getting like stock funding and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know like about where you think, you know, if that's a good idea to go down so soon, or is there better ways of doing it? I know like a lot of the banks and stuff like that, they want say 1 to 2 years of books and stuff like that of proof, which you know you may get a better deal or whatever, but like these lads are like, no, we just need 3 months statements off you. Like
you have to look at the figures, look at the numbers in whatever you're being offered. Now I fairly what funding, what companies with and all that, and they run a good business and all that, but just make sure the figures stack up for you as well.
Yeah.
So last thing you want is to be straddled. There's nothing worse than paying interest on cars that aren't selling and all that. So again, if you want to show me after this, and I can show you, and I can give you my opinion on it.
Yeah.
By all means, if you think you have to be flipping cars pretty quick. Like you don't want to be holding on to cars for 90 days in stock, because the interest on a lot, and not in anyone. I've a credit line with PTSB myself, and I use it as little as possible. What I mean by that is like I don't carry silly amounts of cash in my current account. I would rather have low debt, because you fund some of the individual cars that are in stock. I'd rather have low debt and just only fund things when I really need to be. So just do the maths on that as well. What I would do as well is sell cars, sale or return for people, right?
Yeah.
But that is for people listening, is just basically to sell a car on behalf of someone, but you give them back the money whenever it sells.
Yeah.
I did that, and I did that for the first year and a half. It's a great way of bumping up the forecourt.
Yeah.
And you'd be amazed as well the amount of people that would be happy to give it a go as well.
Yeah.
Some people don't want to be selling cars. Listen, the amount of people that are cars sitting at home, the child has gone to Australia or something. We're trusting selling it. Saying, listen, I have this Golf here. Like, we'd like 14 grand back for it. You can say, listen, I don't know to get 14. Look, to be honest, I only get 16 and a half for it. Could we say 13 and a half, 14?
Yeah. And
do it like that. I did well out of that. You would probably make a slight bit less money wise than you would if you bought the car directly, but like it's a great way of bumping up the place. And also when I started, even first month or two, like I had a few nice cars in here that I wouldn't have been buying. Like I had some 3 and 4 year old Audis and BMWs that I wasn't affording to buying at the time, or taking too much of my stock.
I have a couple of like, well, I have like my mom's car up for sale at the minute, but like, and a couple of friends and stuff like that.
It adds a bit of profile to the place. So you have a couple of nice cars there.
Yeah.
So what I would do as well, even if you wanted, again, you have a couple of thousand followers even on TikTok as well, and I'd even just go straight out and say, listen, we have openings for a few vehicles that were for sale or return. And even if you wanted to go one step further again and say, listen, to be honest, I would love to be selling more of these cars. I think I can do a good job selling those cars. I don't have funds to be buying a lot of these outright, but I can get you a better price, and I can guarantee you a better price than you would when you're selling directly. And I think you would actually get a bit of business.
That's actually a good one. Like, cause like part of me was kind of thinking like, do you put that out there and then people thinking, oh sure, he's only like not selling his own cars or something, but I suppose at the end of the day it doesn't really matter, does it? Like,
listen, like, to be honest, if you were in business 4 months and you were selling all these cars you bought directly yourself, people would be saying, how does he have money for that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you're just starting off. No one is expecting you to have millions for stock. It's impossible. People would be, especially in Ireland, they'd just be grudging you anyway. Like,
yeah. Even if it was all your own money.
And also, you know, you're just starting out. People, especially when you start off as well. Like people want you to do well when you're starting off, right? People don't really give a fuck whether I do well or not anymore. Because I'm already doing pretty well. Like so,
I noticed that about Ireland is like
they do it. They want you to do well up to a point.
Yeah, up to a certain point, like
But ride the crest of the wave. People will want you to do well when you're starting out. So take advantage of that in the nicest way possible. Yeah. And I was like, no, to be honest, he seemed like a nice fella. He seemed like he knew what he was doing. I said I'd give him a go, and you will get that kind of business as well.
Yeah.
So don't ever be afraid of. And again, like what's been a huge part of me in business as well is being honest with people and being transparent. Even when the transparent, honest answer doesn't make it might seem like I'd be honest about a car and say, listen, it's not that fancy, it's not particularly nice to go. I've said all these things like, or I wouldn't buy this, I wouldn't, I'd be honest with you, and I think what the benefit you get from being honest, transparent will far outweigh any negative to what you just said. I think so. Again, just be honest with people, but again, keep in mind, do whatever approach you want. But I would definitely try to do a bit more of that where possible.
Yeah.
If you get, you'll be amazed as well if you get in with a few other dealers. I've done it a couple of times as well. I don't do a huge pile, and I would look into it again maybe. But like, if you get in with some dealers have a good bit of money, right? But some dealers are low on room, or some dealers are low on. They couldn't be. There might be a bit older lads that couldn't be actually are selling it themselves. And if you get in with a few dealers, probably independent lads, that will say, listen, I have a couple of yokes there. Do you want to sell them for me? And then you can just like.
I actually got that already from the lad that's right beside me, and so handy. Like.
Yeah, do give that a go as well. And again, you'll probably be selling slightly more expensive cars that will probably break your heart less if something did go wrong with them as well.
Because like, do you have like a mileage limit or anything that you would not sell over like?
I'd. The odd trade, and we'd sell about 180, 200,000 kilometres. We price it accordingly. It'd be a lot cheaper price than some of the lower mileage. So for buying directly, I'd hardly ever go over 150, 160 kilometres, and ideally under 140.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's just with Jap imports especially, it's just skewed everyone's perception as to what's high and low mileage like so. And generally, I would never definitely not go lower than 20. The odd Jap 2015, but generally 2016 and upwards, and ideally nowadays if I'm buying on the Irish market, I had 2018 upwards, I'd say.
Oh really?
Yeah, probably 2017 if it was low mileage. They're older cars, like, do you know what I mean? But I suppose to circle back around to your question on that, I would definitely look at seeing if you can get in with a few dealers that you can sell some stuff for you. Try sell cars, sale or return for private customers as well, and have a look at the funding line and just check that the numbers add up for you, and just think on the pessimistic side. Don't ever think like, oh sure, I definitely sell that in 2 weeks. Do you know what I mean? It's better to think it'll take 3 months to sell it. Pretend everything will take you 3 months to sell, right? Because the industry average now is probably about 60 days, I'd say, to sell a car.
Right.
I think possibly even higher. So let's assume it's going to take 90 days. Add the maths as what the interest will cost you in those 90 days. See how much you would have made from that car in that 90. If you're put it this way, if there's going to be €1,000 in interest and you think you can only make €1,500 in the car, so now all of a sudden you're back to €500 you've made. Well, that makes no sense. Whereas if you think, again, do the maths on it, and if maths stack up, and you with all English funding lines as well, I suppose. Apart from maybe a one-off annual fee, you only pay for what you use. So it could be worth it, kind of to explore. And
because it is kind of like a bit. Obviously, it's a bit scary, it's a bit risky, or whatever like that. But then it's like you kind of have to take the risks, don't you? If you want to grow something that's big, something like this, like you can get this overnight from nothing as well.
No. I know it does take. There is risk, and there's certain things I've done that I wouldn't do again. But that's as long as you don't do anything fucking catastrophically wild. You can recover from little small things you might have done.
Yeah. Like, what would be the biggest thing that you did when you were, say, scaling from, a small business to what you have here now? Like, what would be the most kind of beneficial thing you did and stuff like that? Like,
in what way?
Like as in, like, is there, was getting a big showroom, like, do you think that was the best thing, hiring lads in, or like?
Well, I had this place since the start, and at the time I was like, Jesus, I was almost anxious. It's like, Jesus, it's a big place there now. I couldn't even fit it. Sure, you sell a few cars, there's a few cars in prep, like the place is half empty. Like, because I only had, I don't know, I never have any more than 15 starting out anyway. Sometimes then, it was fair annoying me as well. Like you'd sell 5 cars and then you'd be waiting for 5 of them to go out, and then you'd have another 4 in prep, and you'd have 2 on the way in from the UK or something like that. So someone would come in there now and you'd have 7 cars inside here, and I'm like, oh god. You'd be apologising to him, sorry though, I don't know much. If you came for a distance to browse of what I have fucking nothing to show you. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, oh, he was annoying me so much, like, but what's the... it was a combination of a lot of things. I suppose you do need to get to a point where you have enough money. I think you definitely need to have about 20 decent cars in stock to start making any type of, in my opinion, kind of decent money. I was never afraid to take on staff, and I took on staff pretty quickly. And I'd say within a year I had probably 7 staff.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Marty, that's with me, he's here with me the longest. He's here for 5.5 years. I'm busy 6 years, so he was here for 6 months. And I actually had another girl who was working for me after about 3 months. She was helping me out with like admin basically and all that kind of thing. So if you do get to a point, and I know you mentioned because you're a mechanic and you're a valeter and you're a salesman, and you know, you come to a point where you're not going to be able to do everything. Do you know what I mean? And that's maybe at the point you're at now, maybe you can do a bit more, but like, let's say for example, if you've 150 grand worth of cars and you try to do everything yourself, well then you're really going to be holding yourself back. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's only going to be a limited amount that you can do. Let's say for example, you told me, listen, I'm going to sell 5 cars a month, and I was like, well, you can probably mechanically prep, valet, and sell 5 cars a month. But if you're saying no, I sold 15 last month, I was like, that's a lot of work to be doing considering the amount of inquiries you have and things like that.
Yeah, well that's the thing. And doing videos and stuff like that as well.
I think what was important, go back to your question I suppose as well, like I was consistent I suppose with my obsession with getting money in as quick as I can. I was obsessed with that so much, you've no idea, like it was all I cared about, getting money in to build. I've paid myself a very small salary for a good while, building up money as quick as I can. I wanted a decent like pot to work with, and then consistent with social media stuff as well. And I wanted from the get-go as well to be fair to people in after sales, and always, you know, because I seen what other garages would do, and there's some great main dealers, some not so great main dealers, but I just wanted to do something that was completely, this was me being honest. I said I'm a new guy. Yeah, a lot of people ask the question, who's this fella there now? Because I'm not from Dungarvan, my father is from Dungarvan, I'm from another village outside here, but I wouldn't have went to school here, so a lot of people mightn't have known me. So if I was coming in as an unknown entity into a town like this, when I start off right, do you know what I mean? Because people, if you start off badly, it'd be tough to kind of recover from that.
To get back,
and then just taking on staff, and I suppose I got the kind of rub of the green as well. Like I got good staff. I got good staff from the get go, pretty much through. I suppose kind of potluck maybe or
with your staff. Like, how did you decide what do you hire first? Do you hire a valeter? Do you hire a accountant or admin staff, or like, how did you kind of go about that? Like,
what you need to do is focus as much of your time as to what you're good at, basically, and what you like doing as well is important, right? You might, let's say for example, if you're good at valeting cars but you hate doing it anymore, you don't want to be still doing it, because you're just not going to want to be doing it, your heart's not going to be in it. And when you're selling cars as well, you need to be fucking happy and upbeat, you need to be in good form.
And that's like literally me now with like servicing cars and working on them and repairing them and all that, and it's like, I hate it. You know what I mean? But then it's like, but then again, like you kind of have to draw a balance of it. I was like, you know, oh yeah, but I'm saving money. But then I'm like, yeah, but is it worth it? Like, and as you said, if it's putting you in a bad mood or something like.
We start with the mechanical side of things and valet side of things, right? If you're only selling a couple of months, like, do it away yourself. Maybe it makes sense, right? But like if there is. I wouldn't be taking on a mechanic or I wouldn't be taking on a valeter if there is good guys that you can outsource to in your locality, right? For where we were here, like I outsourced valeting for I outsourced it, then I did it in house, then I outsourced it again, and I have a valeter now the last probably 2 years or so, right? Just because of the amount of cars we have. We still outsource a bit of it now. You can't do all our stuff because there's so many freshens and all that, but the reason I started a workshop was because there was no one in Dungarvan that could keep up with the amount of gets churn out the same amount of stuff that we wanted at the quality I wanted and all that, so I kind of had to do it myself. Outsource mechanical and balance side of things as much as possible, unless you're getting massive bottlenecks in the system, things are taking ages to get done or things are, and if you can do that as much as possible, do. So if you've good lads that you can outsource to, do that. How did I figure out what I wanted to do. Yeah, I suppose I kind of wanted to focus on. I like doing social media stuff. I liked buying and selling cars. So my first train of thought was I didn't like doing admin accounts. I didn't like doing change of ownerships. I didn't, and also because I was on my own here and I wanted to go off. I wanted someone to be here the whole time. So I said if I just had someone in the office, doing a lot of stuff that I don't want to do, maybe helping out some social media stuff, and to have someone in the office that could talk to customers. While I wasn't here, so that would make sense. So, I had a girl who was here for about 6 months. She finished up then, ended up doing something else, but I got Marty on board then, because then I realised at this point I was selling 20-25 cars by myself. When you're buying them and I was doing finance as well and trying to do everything, it was just too much. So I kind of figured out if I had a help with the amount of inquiries and I had someone. Because what's happening when I was so busy there for a while, then I was so busy sending through a finance application and the phone would ring or something like that, and then a customer would walk into the showroom and I'm like, oh Jesus, what do they want? He's probably wasting it. It's because I was too busy. It's like, well, if I got a salesman to talk to him, between the two of us we'd sell a bit more.
And do better.
Exactly. So but again, by the time I took on like a salesman, like I was already selling like 25 cars a month, like
right.
So
which is good.
Exactly. So if I suppose you kind of need to see is like selling cars in its, if you're the face of the business, right? So you want to be the guy selling the cars basically, and that you obviously like doing and everything like that as well. And it's quite lucrative selling cars. It can be, like, do you know what I mean? You value a car and you make like a couple of $100 for it, say, for example, do detail, but you could sell a car and you could make a couple of grand from it.
Do you know
what I mean? So if anything that you're doing in your day-to-day business that is costing you 1 or 2 sales a month, 1 or 2 sales a month could be 3, 4, or 5 grand. You know, on nice deals, like say for example. So I suppose,
but it's even like, let's not say like that it's costing me that, but like for me it's like, okay, even just for me to get stuff done, it's like last night I was there. So yesterday I did like 8 o'clock in the morning until after 11 o'clock at night, and then I was back in at 7 o'clock this morning to do it. So it's like that's me like doing the valid and stuff like that. So then I'm like end up doing it early mornings, late nights, to get the valid done, because during the day my phone is going, people are coming to look, you have to go collect cars, all that sort of stuff. So it's like not even along the lines of like that it's costing me money, it's just more that it's costing me time, like, you know what I mean? And now I don't have any kids or anything like that, but it's like, so I know I can still do that for a while, but how long I can do that sort of stuff for, I don't know. Or you'll it's all well and good. I remember even my first year, like as a I have a child now, but I didn't at the time, so I was just working every hour under the sun, like, and I had no real life. I was just coming home to fall asleep on the couch and I wake up at 11 o'clock and go to bed, like, I have to go home at 8:30 or 9, like. But like it's part, because you get the adrenaline off, because it's buzzing. You're kind of growing your own business. Like, it's good crack as well. But it's like I don't
like fine, do that for a bit, like. But like, let's say for example you spent I don't know, 20 hours this week valeting cars, right? It's like, well, I could have outsourced that work for, let's say, 500 quid. I don't know. If you spent those 20 hours out talking to other garages on the phone, creating social media content, building fucking network, talking to customers, whatever, would you make more than that 500 quid? And I can guarantee you would. That's like a fraction of one sale.
And even if it wasn't that you made it now, it's more like you're building something for the long term as well. Is how I would kind of look at it.
You would, like, so what I would do if I was you anyway, I would try and outsource a lot of them, because you have to change your identity that yourself as well. You're a car salesman now, like, you're a business owner. You're not a detailer.
I actually think that sometimes kind of like, hinders me, because it's like, oh, but I can do it. You know? And then it's like, but it's gonna, one, take your energy away, and two, it's like it could cause me to hate what I'm doing as well.
You'll burn yourself out a bit, like. So again, now there's nothing wrong, like, if a car, if a few cars aside and they're grumpy, give them a clean. Like, geez, I wipe down cars here the whole time, like, do you know what I mean? Like, and I have a validator, but like, just to speed things up, like, for 20 minutes, or whatever, like, we white bird shit off cars or whatever, like, that has to be done, like, like, do bits, like, absolutely. Well, I wouldn't be doing full ballots around that, like, on cars, like, it's you do want to spend as much time as possible. You're saying about social media stuff, it's like, is it worth spending time on it? It would certainly be more while spending time on social media stuff than valeting a car. Do you know what I mean? So definitely I would look into that as much as possible, and try and spend as much on higher, I suppose, higher value tasks, basically, like, do you know what I mean? Because it's that's definitely, again, where possible. So that's what I do. That's what I do.
Yeah, because obviously it's trying to draw a balance between like saving the money to spend on more cars, but then
like if you're at fuck all during the day and you're like, well, I could balance this car, but I would rather go out for lunch for a couple of hours. Well, then like balance the car, like, but if you're busy, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And how many kind of cars have you been selling kind of so far?
So around like mid-30s, nearly 40, say.
That you've sold since start here?
Well, I started end of January.
Yeah.
So since then, yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's actually alright.
Good,
you know, I'm not taking the salary or anything like that. I literally just have like just every single penny going back in to it. Which now, in fairness, because I was only thinking this morning, was on the way down here as well, and I was like trying to see if like I haven't stopped to look back, if that makes sense. Like I'm just going all the time, but then I'm not like, you know, at the start I was like, oh, I'm gonna like focus on like building systems and like, you know, focus on average profit per car, and then to see like, okay, if this car is, you know, a higher profit, I'm gonna change to these type of cars. It's like I do obviously do it in my head as well, but like I'm just constantly like go just to try and build up the pot and stuff like that.
That's as soon as you said that, I'm like, because that was one of the points I wanted to go into there. Like, you have to just take it easy for a second, because as the saying goes, like, no one wants to be a busy fool. I'm not saying you are, but like,
you could easily be like,
you have to. From as soon as I got going, I actually still have that same sheet, the stock and profit sheet, I call it, and it's like every car I've ever bought, since I opened, every car I've ever bought and sold, I'm on that sheet. How much I paid for it, how much money I spent on prep, how much money I spent on balloting, warranty, what my net profit is, what the VAT amount was, if there was finance commission, what's on it, and I can see that since May 2019. You know, every single car. So if you don't know, like, if I was to ask you what you made to the euro on a particular car after all your costs, would you know?
No.
You have to.
You
do, like, And
like, I know, like,
tell you what you do,
I have the information there, I just haven't
put it down.
stopped to actually do it.
I'll actually send you the template that I have. I'll send you the template. It is essential, because what you need to do, right? And I still look at it the whole time now. Like, I base my months on numbers, right? It's in my head, but it's also on a sheet. Like, and you need to be setting yourself monetary targets in a particular month, right?
Yeah.
And you're saying, right, my overheads are, I don't know what your overheads are. Let's say they're $5,000 a month, right? Maybe they're 10, maybe they're 3. I don't know, but whatever they are, right? You need to nail that down as well. So when you get home or over the weekend, see what your overheads are, right?
Yeah.
And you set yourself a monetary target in the month. Say, right, don't even set yourself a target on number of units you sell. Like, great if you do, sell 10 cars $1,000, but if you sell 10 cars a month and you made 500 quid a pop on them, that's absolutely useless yet.
Yeah.
Whereas if you sell 6 cars a month and you made $2,000 a pop, whatever, that's brilliant. Or whatever it is. But you need to know your numbers, like, and that is the most important thing. And you need to be living your life through that spreadsheet, right? And you're saying, right, I've made 17 grand a profit on my cars this month. Okay, I wanted to get 20. How do I get to 20?
Yeah.
Okay, next month, right? Okay, then I look back and I'm, okay, right, jeez, that Jack Polo I did quite well out of. Yeah. Probably buy more of them. Jesus, no, because sometimes you can forget what you even spent on a car.
Yeah.
And prepping a car, like, you say, Jesus, like, for example, like, you know, we always get people looking for 2016 cash guys and Tucson's or all that kind of thing, for example, right? We don't make money off them, right? So I don't sell them.
Okay.
We do sometimes, like, but because we the odd time we get them and trade them, we will sell them, but like, they always need a heap of prep, and they're just, the margin's not in them, and they're not worthwhile me selling them. But unless I was monitoring what we're selling and what was not selling, there are certain cars I bring in from Japan and that we do really well out of, and there's other ones that they sell well but I don't do well out of. So there's no point in me having them here if I'm not doing well out of them. Yeah. So you need to be monitoring. Like, if you were to, if you think about it, right, if you were to spend 2 days next week balloting cars and not spending time looking over what money you've been making. Like, think of which one would be more
better for the business.
Better for the business. So that's if you take one takeaway from that, and I'll send you the template, is that
that would be great.
Monitor your numbers, like, and you should be able to tell you within a couple of euro what your overheads are in a month. And some things you're spending money on, you say, Jesus, I'm wasting money on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
And so that's definitely that is so essential. Don't be wrong, because I still do it sometimes. You have to kind of take yourself. Sometimes I work from home for a couple of hours in the morning just to give myself a bit of headspace. To think about things, because you can't, when you're in here the whole time. It's like, everyone's asking me questions with this and that. You can't get anything done. Like, But yeah, super important. Know your numbers.
Like, you know, like something that I keep thinking about is like, for let's say you do a lot of Jap imports, and in one of the podcasts you were talking about like it's 4 months from start to finish for that. Like, is that not crazy to have all that money tied up in a car for 4 months? Or how does it work? Like, because like
kind of with like a lot of companies that deal with it, they have different kind of credit terms. Like with some of them you have to pay for it fully up front, and pay for shipping and everything like that as well. We deal with 2 companies at the moment, but the common kind of a trend, I suppose, or payment terms are like 30% up front,
right,
and then 70% and the shipping a couple of weeks before they land in Ireland. So you wouldn't have it tied up.
Everything,
you wouldn't have everything tied up for. But like, I'd have like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of euro tied up at any given time on cars I don't have. So like, I see some lads that are kind of starting out as well. They're asking me about Japanese imports. I was like, okay, cool, do it if you want. By all means, I'm not stopping you. But is that the best use of your money? And for a lot of the times, for people, it's not. Yeah. There's plenty of people, and we'd sell it at the odd one to the trade here as well. We're selling a lot in retail, so we don't trade off usually. Yeah. But it's best off like buying off like AMCC up in Dublin.
Because that's what I was thinking. Like, and I was even saying it to a few of the lads. I was like,
it's better off just buying them and just let them make their cut, or let someone like me or let whoever they can make a small cut. And if there's meat on the bone left for you, like trying to wasting time with all that process and the paperwork and everything to save 700 quid or or whatever the margin, it's
because that's what I was talking to a few lads and they were saying about like the polos and stuff, and like this one lad, he was saying to me that he'd probably sell 3 or 4 of the polos a week, but again it's taken 4 months for him to come over, and I was kind of thinking, would you not be better off going to like AMCC, buying a rake of them, and then like even if he bought the same amount, but he has them there and then like he's saying he's selling them on the day or within a week or something like that. Like
I used to buy at AMCC quite a lot, and I would still buy off no bother at all because they have so much on the ground there. And again,
it's crazy, isn't it?
Nothing but respect from them. They've such an operation. I'd be in awe of the size of their stock. Like,
I think they have like 5,000 or 6,000 cars or something.
Absolutely mental. Like, but it's the only I was buying off them for probably a lot, let's say for maybe a year, but it's just fortunately after say 4 or 5 years in business I had a few quid that I could allocate for, and I said, well, if I have a few quid that I can buy cars directly and make a little bit extra out of, it'll be worth my while. Right.
But you also have to do the maths on that.
I have like Paul does like a load of the paperwork for it, like say for example in the customs and all that kind of thing, and Kane in the workshop does some of the VRT stuff for it and everything. So we have a team in place that'll help with it. Like if I was doing it all myself, I'm like, Jesus, some stress. Much easier buying a yoke in Ireland.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Except apart from going to Dublin all the time to collect them, I'd say is a.
If I were you, but buy off like some of the wholesalers. Yeah, definitely.
They're like I feel like that's my next thing is like. I definitely know I wouldn't be buying even from Japan at the minute. It's not definitely.
It's worth it if you're doing big numbers and you have a few quid behind you. Yeah, it's worth doing. Other than that, I wouldn't even be wasting your fucking mental headspace now and trying to think about it.
No, definitely not. Yeah, because like I'm also at the point of like, do I change? Like, let's say if I get funding, I'm like, do I try and change towards where I want to be in terms of like having nicer stuff? Like I kind of did like a little test as well, and I was like got a few kind of nice things, like I got like a nice M Sport F10 and stuff like that, and I was like I put it up at like 11 o'clock at night and it sold the next morning, and like I had a good few lads on to me about that car, and I actually made the most money on that car as well. Now I know that's a bigger risk because that going wrong over a Yaris or something like that, but like I was kind of like and then I was listening to your podcast with Jack, like, and that's what he was saying, like when he got all the nicer cars, they just kind of flew out. So then part of me was going, okay, so if I get the funding, do I focus on getting nicer cars, getting better stock, like start getting into the nice kind of saloon German cars and stuff like that, like.
But I suppose it all goes back to what I said a minute ago about like knowing your numbers, like, and seeing what's kind of working for you. Because like I could say I can tell you what works for us, but like it mightn't necessarily work for you up where you are. Like you're near Dublin, maybe small autos go go good here, they do well here, but I know in cities they do even better. Like, you know what I mean? They're just snapped up the whole time.
Yeah.
So because a lot of people in cities who drive kind of smaller cars, people in the countryside love big German diesels. Like, do you know what I mean? So we go out of our way to buy them.
True.
But like you were saying about like the F10 that you bought, like there'll be some cars that you'll buy that you'll regret buying, and that's okay. Like, just accept it. Like, and you mightn't do well out of them, or you might have a warranty problem at all. But you need to keep track of, I suppose, how much money you're making on each one, and also how much money. Keep track of your warranty as well.
Yeah.
Do you outsource your warranty, or do you have your own?
No, I'm doing it all myself. Yeah, that was another thing I was going to talk about, because I'm kind of like, I don't know what you think of warranty companies. Of, do you go for a warranty company like an original one? Do you go for a pot warranty? Do you go for like a lot of the lads are saying that they would save 100 quid or 200 quid from every car they sell and put that into their own warranty pot, or like. Yeah,
that's what I'd recommend. I did use outsource warranty at the very start, but you have to very fine print on a lot of warranty companies. Sometimes their max claim limit is like $2,500 or something like that. So even if you have a bigger claim, they won't actually pay out on it. Like, so. And again, I haven't looked into much in recent years, so maybe that has changed. I'm not sure, but that was the case back then. What I do, I put €300 aside, and that's my warranty pot. So let's say if I sell 50 retail cars in a month, that's 15 grand that I put aside for warranty. And it takes away the psychological side of warranting as well. If you have a 3 grand warranty spend, you're like, oh jeez, do I have to do that? Like, you feel bad. But it's like, no, Paul, you've put away 15 grand for it.
You're actually making money.
Anything less than 15 grand a month is fine, because when I let's say I've made 2.5 grand net profit on a car, for example, that's after the €300 set aside for warranty. So I'm not even counting it. Like, it's already gone. It's like VAT.
Yeah.
You don't count the VAT.
Yeah, it's just gone. Yeah.
Because that's already gone. The revenue you're going to take it next month off you. Like, do you know what I mean? So same with warranty. The warranty is already spent. Just like in case of what car it's going to be on. That's like a little psychological thing. But I don't really do it anymore. Well, I used to up until recently, but put it into a separate account, and it's nice psychologically seeing the money built up. You sell a car, put €300 in. You have 4 cars sold. Let's say, for example, you have €1,200 in your warranty pot, and then there's a warranty problem that's 700 quid, and you're like, normally you'd be like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Whereas now you're like,
no, you're not. Yeah.
That's grand. I have it in the pot.
Yeah.
Unless you get badly stung early on, which you could do, but you probably won't. I think that will build up kind of nicely, and that's why.
Would you keep the money every month in like?
Yeah, I haven't done now in the last couple of months, but like I've used to it for years, because I could transfer it into another account, but I have the money in my main account. But it's more of a psychological thing for me at this stage. Now I do set it aside when I'm calculating how much money I've made in the month. It's after the warranty has already been taken out.
Yeah.
Like I consider warranty. It's almost like it's like nearly the best form. This is a weird way of looking at it, but the best form of marketing for your business, right? You've already set the money aside. You're a car dealer. Part of the deal and why they're giving you more than they would to a private customer is because you're giving warranty.
Yeah. And
you're going to be judged on, and you're going to be your best marketing you'll do is how you look after the customers that you have, because they will have Google reviews, they'll tell their friends and everything like that. And if you use your warranty fund and how you look after customers wisely, that's the best way of growing a business in terms of reputation, things like that. Yeah. So I think people, obviously don't be silly with warranty, but don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to look after it. If it's what was agreed, obviously cover it as much as possible. Yeah.
Like, this is one of the things that I was thinking about, because it's like, for me, like, I was kind of doing let's say a 3-month engine gearbox warranty, right? But then the customer would come back with like window switch or something small like that, and they're kind of going like, I'm kind of thinking to myself, well, like, that wasn't in the warranty, but I want to help them out, obviously, because one, like, let's say it's like, it's only 100 quid or whatever it be, or like, where do you draw the line though of
that's the golden question in car sales. There's no real answer to that, really. I suppose it's kind of
case dependent as well, probably. Like,
it's case dependent, and what I would say as well, like, if you're selling 2011 cars and you're making relatively small margins out of it, like, you're going to have to, where possible, say if someone buys a 40 grand car, plus the window switch goes after a month, we'll cover it, like, do you know what I mean? Because it's a 40 grand car or whatever, now if it goes in 6 months or 7 months for that, like, obviously we won't, like, but it's just after buying it. I think a golden rule is, I suppose within a week or two you kind of have to sort and read. Maybe it's something that you do sort and prep. But, and I do think as well, like, especially when you're selling cheaper cars, it's like, you need to just do the handover correctly. When some customers collect the car, get them have to sign a correct warranty form.
Yeah.
And this is just managed expectations. People, and it's not even their fault. People seem to think that, you know, if a £6,000 car to someone that doesn't have a huge pile of money is like a fucking Lamborghini to someone that has money. That's all the money they have. So, and they don't understand that a 2011 car is an old car. And I know you're trying to sell it warranty, but the warranty doesn't cover bumper to bumper. It's literally impossible. You couldn't. There's a reason why this car is a fraction of the price it was new. So I think having a correct handover sheet and just explain to people, I said, listen, obviously we checked over this car, it's engine gearbox. You have to remember, it is a 14-year-old car. We've checked it over, we've serviced it. It does seem fine. We cannot cover everything on the car. It's engine gearbox. Every car, our warranty is engine and gearbox. Obviously, there's grey areas. We try. We assess everything, but you do have to be pretty strict on that as well, like. Because I don't. And it's expectation. If you sell a customer when they're collecting a car, any problem at all, give me a ring. If you leave it at that, well, you're fucked from the get-go. You are, like, you know what I mean. So
I had a couple of, like, obviously you get a few customers, like, I had some customer bought a 12 or 13 Qashqai and had like the pan roof or whatever, but you know, like the cover, that the little fabric cover, and he's like, no, I just wanted to let you know, like, when I was closing that, like, it hit and went back, and he's like going on, and I was like, okay, and I was like, is it all right now? Oh yeah, no, it's grand now, it's just it happened, like, you know. And then he's like, he says, like, the weather was so good for the last few weeks, and then bear in mind he didn't buy the car in the last couple of weeks, but like the weather was so good, and then we had that day when it was piss and rain then. And he texted me and he's like, hi Adam, I just wanted to let you know about the car. Not impressed. The car was a bit slippy today and this morning in the wet. And I was like, okay. Like, and, you know? And I'm kind of just like, starting to get that sort of dealing with things or whatever.
Just, like a 12 or 13 Qashqai, like, you know, they are old cars as well, and people buying Qashqais buy in large. Like, if you buy a Beamer, chances are you might have an enthusiast bought a Beamer and they might have looked after it a little bit, for example, or a nice Audi A4 S9 something like that. If you're buying a Qashqai, it's a utility vehicle, like, do you know what I mean? It's just, you're buying it, you're just doing, most people do the absolute bare minimum to it. By the time they get to a 2012 car, they are 13 years old, they are fairly wrecked, like, and it's no fault on the car itself, like, but things will start going in it. Sunroofs will start fucking knocking back, sensors will start going.
But then, like, part of me goes like, I don't want to, you know, like, it was like the blower fan went in it, and obviously not engine or gearbox, but like that was a couple of £100 for me to fix, and I just did it. But like, I didn't want to tell him, you know, no, I'm not doing it, and then, you know, him go put a bad review or
it's, but I think what it's a slog when you're selling those kind of cars, and I know it means to an end at the moment, but like I was saying, like, know your numbers, find out what's doing well for you. But like, I don't know anyone that does well out of 2012 Qashqais, for example. So I can give you a list of what I'd recommend you should sell or not from my experience as well. Now again, but that's only my recommended list. Like,
but look, it's still,
you know, but like,
it's
you will never get to the end of some of these cars. Like, we see them below in the workshop. Not even cars we've sold, but cars get to a certain point, like, and they're a bottomless pit. You know what I mean? So you've spent $2,000. We were only chatting in the workshop this morning. You know, there's someone in with a particular type of car, maybe it's 12, 13 years old, and they have a $15,000 bill now, and then you tell them, listen, you didn't buy from us, but just so you're aware, more money is going to be needed on this car. So if you're selling those type of cars and you're giving warranty, that more money needed is falling on you. And unless you're making a huge pot of money out of them, and I know from experience you wouldn't really make a huge pot of money out of them, you have to be kind of really careful. But again, you have to slog through this bit, right? Do the handovers on the cars correctly, and just, again, manage expectations. You have to, because you when you're selling those type of cars, you either have to be a cowboy, or, you know, or you're going to have to be restricted people, or you're going to be broke, like, basically. Do you know what I mean?
But that's
but that's it, you know. But I would say, like, obviously, be fair to people. Just, again, like I say, manage expectations. Be, like, again, cover what you say you'll cover. For example, if it's a particularly ropey example, try not to retail at all. See if you can trade it off or something like that, or see if you can. Someone else, lads will buy them, they'll sell them off to someone else, and they'll sell them off to someone else, something like that. Grand, but you do need to get out of selling those. In my opinion, getting out of those kind of cars as soon as you can. Once you start selling a few of the 15, 20, 25 grand cars, then you realise,
it's a lot better, But then, like, if I was to go buy and say, you know, 20, 25 grand cars, I'd have 3 cars or something like that, and then I'm like, if someone shows up to my place and I have 3 cars, I kind of
no. Everyone does it, and I'm not saying don't, but I think you say you have 16 cars at the moment. I think when you're just by yourself, even if you had between 8 and 10, but slightly better ones, and then sprinkle in a few sale or return cars, and see if any dealers, if any dealer around the Nace area is looking to good salesman to offload cars. That's what I recommend. If you're selling cheap cars, like cheap low risk cars like Polos, small cars, but then they're the ones that everyone wants as well, so they're tough to actually buy those cars.
The only thing I was thinking about with like the likes of the Polo is like, if a DSG box goes on me, there's 2 or 3 grand kind of thing. Like,
it is. They can do it. Like we've had a couple of them as well. Like so, but even again, just when with the older stuff again, try and keep it lower risk. I would think. And again,
is there any cars like that you will just not sell even if you were to make the most amount of profit on them?
Sure, everyone has the same kind of list of stuff really at the moment. Like Jags, Land Rovers, the Ingenium engines, like Mazda's 2.2 Sky Actives. There's a lot. Some of these cars as well, because people will be listening to this. It's like, hold on a second, you've sold me this. I've sold a couple of them. Yeah, and I know they've cost us an absolute bomb on credit and warranty. They're fine for you because we've spent thousands on them. You know what I mean? Or we've been some on warranty. Do you know, like we're only just saying it recently. Again, I've sold a lot of them, and again, they cost us an absolute fucking bomb. Like some of the modern Peugeots are starting to give bother now as well. Like, there's the list. The thing is, I could list off a load of the list of cars that is bulletproof is that's dwindling over and over. It's kind of small, like it's but like the Jap stuff is generally pretty
Jap is pretty good, And did you is that because you were saying before that you had pivoted a lot with the different types of car you were selling? Like I think it was on one of the podcasts you were saying that, but like do you kind of find now like you found your I have niche and stuff like that? I have for this year, but that could change next year. Yeah. You know what I mean? It changes the whole time. Because I just see what... So what would change? Like, as in, what... Is it the fact of you looking at your numbers, or you thinking something else that's going to be popular, or...
It's mainly the numbers, like. Do you know what I mean? I try to do more of what works well. There's 3 things you have to factor in when you're buying a car, basically, right? It has to be, I suppose, a good quality car that you can sell in confidence. It's not going to break your heart from warranty. That's very important, right? It's the length of time to sell, as how popular it'll be. So you want you can have a good car, but it's not going to be a good seller. So that's no good to you either, right? So you need a car that'll sell relatively quick, that is going to be good quality for the customer, that you can sell them with a bit of confidence, and it's not going to break your heart in the workshop either before sale or after sale. And then the third bit, and as equally as part of the rest of them, is how much money you're going to make off it. And that's really just 3. Like, I like selling nice cars, but like if I'm selling Honda Fits and they're ticking all those 3 boxes for me, I'm going to keep selling Honda Fits. Do you know what I mean? I try and take my, like, obviously if it's a choice between like a BMW 5 Series M Sport that are really nice, or a Honda Fit, like it's nice to sell Beamers, like cool, but it doesn't bother me. They're units, like, it's a business. I'm selling cars years, like it's a business, and I think a lot of people are too afraid to admit like that you're running a business, like, do you know what I mean? Like, obviously I want people, I buzz off people saying I'm delighted with the car. I do genuinely do it when they leave you a good review, or if they're delighted with the car. I want everyone to be delighted with the car they bought off me.
It's actually funny. It is,
and I get buzz off that, or people saying, listen, I've heard nothing but good things about you. I'm like, nice one. I buzz off that, like, but it has to be worth your while for the business too, like.
Even for me, actually, like, going into that, like, I like, we're talking about cowboys, and there is obviously a reputation of garages, especially kind of like, where I'm from and stuff like that, around of like that they'd be cowboys or dodgy or all that sort of stuff. But like, even for me going into it, I was like, that was one thing in my head of like, I don't want to be like them at all. And I was kind of thinking, like, people are going to judge me, people are going to think I'm like that or whatever. But people actually haven't as well. Like, people realise that you're genuine and stuff like that. But like, that was actually like a massive thing for me. I was like, this is a bit mad. Like, I was expecting to have to fight that and show that I'm genuine and I care and all this sort of stuff, but you really don't, like, and like
you don't. It's
some of the stuff that I've had of like even just like dealing with people and stuff like that. It's like I love it. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like I had a girl in that she was buying a Fiat 500 and she was like, yeah, you know, this is like a treat for her divorce and stuff like that or whatever. And then like her and her friend, like they were real like kind of like poker face, you know. And they got into the car after and they were like, I like closed the door. I was like, I'll see you later or whatever. And like the two friends, they just looked and they just start screaming like, yeah, you know. And I was like, that was like such a good moment though.
Yeah,
you know? I was like, this is weird, like.
It was actually Ethan James from Coil More Cars. He was down Saturday again, and he was so buzzing with his Golf R. Like, I was like, Jesus man, you're putting me in good form now. I was like, it's a good buzz seeing someone genuinely happy with their car, like, you know what I mean. And it puts you in good form. Some people are miserable, but some other people are proper buzzing. Like, but no, again, people with the cowboy thing and car dealers, like, there's some lads you just know are a bit dodgy. Like I know from talking to you, you're in no way, shape, or form. You're a nice guy. You're reputable. I know you'd be good to deal with, but like. It's not that hard to be more reputable than some lads that are out there. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? Like some lads are just God above. Like you know, they just be straight with people. If you say you're going to call them tomorrow for an update, give them a call tomorrow. If you're doing a change of ownership, do the change of ownership. Don't be fucking slow with paperwork. If you say you're going to book them into the garage to get warranty work done, get it done. Do you know what I mean? Just say what you're going to do, and do it, like, do you know what I mean? If you do that, like, answer the phone professionally. We've rang some other garages up the country. You know, if you're trying to source a car for someone, you ring a garage. Often Dublin lads now are the worst culprits for this as well, aren't they? Like, you'd ring him and hello, this would be the landline of the business. It's like, okay, hi, is this XYZ Motors? Yeah.
What do you want?
Like, alright, okay, okay, and you're like, where do I start? Like, you have a 2019 Skoda Octavia there. You still have it? Yeah, I think I'll just check there. Yeah, I think I still have it. Yeah. I was like, fuck me. I was like, do you know what I mean? Just answer your phone. Like, you hello, Divine Motors or whatever like that. You know, just be a little professional. I was like, okay, this fella's thing. Even when you're just on yourself, I'd answer. I'd be fucking professional. Get a little fucking polo t-shirt with your company name on, or whatever. Like, just small little things like. This fella's taking himself seriously, and there's nothing wrong. People respect that. Like, they do. Like,
how much of that for you is what you've learned in your previous jobs, like, as in, because you had a background of that.
Yeah, so I was working.
How much did you pick up on that? How much is that, like, also, you know, what you've experienced of good and bad? Like, is there what, like, how much good do you take in? How much did you go, okay, I want to start my own thing to not be like them, or?
Yeah, it's I worked for the bowling group, which I've said a lot of times, for 6 years before going out on my own. They were actually really good to me, and they gave me a management job and everything in Cork when I was managing the Hertz car sales garages. Unbelievable experience. I took so much of what they did, and also I kind of wanted to put my own little twist on it, like, you know what I mean? Because main dealer groups and everything like that, and I said, they're not, because they're so big and they're just have a brand behind it, they don't have the same personal touch on it, like that. And I just think, and it's not even bones, it's a lot of there's such rigid processes in a lot of big groups, like, and because they're so big and they have to, like, and everything like that, like, and so I wanted to do kind of the professionalism of a main dealer, I'd say, for example, with my own personal touch, and bring things up to speed with the modern way of how a car sales business operates. But like, I learned every bit as much about how not to do things from other places as how to do things. So like a massive amount of what I've learned. Now some of it was on the job here, like, as well, like, but a lot of the strategy I had for starting a business has been pretty similar since the start. I knew I was going to be going heavy on social media. I knew I was going to be really sound to customers. I was going to be fair. I was going to be honest. I was going to be transparent, and I was going to work hard. Like, do you know what I mean? But I was going to have the same professional approach with the paperwork and professionalism and all that kind of thing as a main dealer would.
The systems and stuff like that.
A lot of main dealers, like, they have great systems. Like, do you know what I mean? And they have good processes. And like, I used to be thinking that when I was with Hertz car sales, they have all these handover sheets and warranty forms and all that. That's a bit much, isn't it? You know, all the things, terms and conditions. I was like, it's actually a good idea, like, do you know what I mean? Because even, you know, it's good to have everything in writing, like, so it's only in hindsight when I look back at some of the ways they did things that I was thinking that was actually not a bad idea. So it's good from that kind of point of view.
Because like, for me as well, like, you know, with being in main dealers and stuff like that, it's like actually, so the independent garage that I did my apprenticeship in, like, that was the best job I ever had. It was a small little garage. There was probably like 7 or 8 of us there. Like, we had some crack all the time. Like, it wasn't real serious or anything like that. Then I went into the main dealer, and it was like there was 85 people working there.
Wow.
There was all the time, all they talk about is targets, and you know, oh, you have to do this and you have to clock. You know, we all had to clock in on every single car we were on, and then they'd be questioning you like, oh, why were you idle for 7 minutes on Friday evening or something like that, and you're like they wanted every single, you know, second of your time, and it's like, part of me goes like, I love the idea now of growing systems for a business and stuff like that, but I don't want it to get to the point of like that it ruins your business, like, and I feel like it kind of can sometimes.
It can do, yeah. No, I wouldn't like to get to that point, and I don't even blame some of these dealers when they're that big, because they've such colossal overheads, right?
Yeah,
they do, right? And
it's also investors.
Yeah, exactly. And they've pressure from the manufacturer, and they've everything like that. In order to feed the beast, as the saying goes, like, they have to be maximum efficiency, like, you know what I mean? Like, and obviously they have, like you're saying, they have shareholders, they have owners, that a lot of these owners aren't even directly involved in business, and they want to take big dividends out of it and this and that. So like, systems have to be in place. So what I kind of like is like, we've good systems here. We have a good dealer management system. I know my numbers and all that, but like, we're not fucking neurotic or whatever the word is about, you know, but like we are, but like, we have a bit of crack in here as well, like, you know what I mean? And that's kind of,
you can see that as well.
Yeah,
like,
we do.
Before
we do, and because I created a business that I like going into every day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I, once it gets past that point and it's just a job, or it's just a money making machine, or whatever you want to call it, like, you just go in just purely to make money out of. I sure don't want that. Like, I spend a load of time here. I want to enjoy it. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I suppose, like, you want to get to, like, and even going back to what we said maybe at the start, like, is that it depends what you want out of it. What I want out of it is I want a business that makes me money to have a nice life, that I can enjoy my holidays and I can enjoy my life, and I can maybe have a nice car and that kind of thing. But anything surplus to that is just kind of a, you know, like, yeah, you can grow a business and all that, but it's just for your own self-fulfillment and enjoyment. Like, you know, after a certain point, money-wise, unless it's for ego, like, what's the point? Like, you know, if you're enjoying it, because I enjoy the journey, like, you know what I mean? If I just kept doing what I'm doing now forever, I have a good life. Do I need to grow anymore? No, I don't know. But sure, maybe I like it.
Yeah. But there is that, like, because I kind of like that as well, of like, oh yeah, but then it's a challenge as well. Like, you know, you go on about like this sort of stuff, but it's like, really, you love the buzz of the growth and stuff like that. That's what I'm like.
I get bored. Like, you know what I mean? Every year after I did a podcast this year. I started doing Jap imports myself there last year.
Yeah.
I'll do other things. I have few other bits in the pipeline now as well.
Yeah.
Just for my own enjoyment. Like, am I under any illusions that the extra money that I might make from any ventures is going to make me happier? No, not really. But I like buzz.
Yeah.
I like being challenged. Yeah. You know what I mean? And
I think, like, in one of the podcasts you were talking about, like, different, like, investments and stuff like that, and I know for me it's a good while down the line or whatever, but like, I also think, one, that it's good that, you know, we're not talking about the likes of, oh, you want to turn this into a main dealer that's just focus on money, like, you still have a bit of crack as well, but like, I suppose what I'm kind of thinking is, like, when do you think it's a good time to start looking at other investments or start that sort of thing?
People talk a lot about, like, diversification and all that, like, you know, it's good to diversify and all that, but diversification is only good once you've done really well at the one thing that you're good at, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I've grown a car sales business to a point where I would have some surplus funds, let's say, in the business, that I can then look at diversifying.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be trying to start 4 different businesses at once because I'm trying to diversify.
Do you know
what I mean? And even anything I do in future, it's probably largely, if I let's say, for example, if this blows up and becomes a big podcast, for example, it's largely probably going to be funded by the money I make from selling cars.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to make me a huge pile of, maybe it will, I don't know. But, like, you know, I was only starting to look, I have some property, and but I only started doing that after I had, here was well fed, let's say, for example, and I had enough money for stock and enough money for to pay everyone as well as need, and I have enough, you know, a bit of cushion money or whatever like that, like, so that this place was in a healthy position first. I would certainly not be looking at other ventures until you your own, the core business nailed on as much as possible. And trust me on it, if you do a car sales business right, it's good money to be made in it. But only look at diversifying when you're happy with where your own business is at. Don't even think about looking at it. Just be laser focused. Car sales, buying and selling cars, looking at your little Excel sheet with the money you're making, flipping cars, building up your pot. You shouldn't be able to tell me to the euro how much money in stock you have. Like, something like, I can tell you now to the euro how much my stock value is.
Really? That's mad, isn't it?
You have to.
Like, do you go through that every week, every day, every month?
Day. I look at it every hour, I'd say.
Takes out the number, looks at it and laughs.
10 minutes. I still look after moving the cars that haven't stock over to the sold one, and then I can see how much what my money total is for the month, and I live my life through that.
But even pricing trade-ins and anything like that, like instead of just going off what they are online, what they're advertised for, you know what you sold them for.
I know what I sold them for, and I say, we sold the last one there for $25,950. Okay.
Do you have that on a system kind of thing?
I have it on the system, but I also keep it on a backup on Excel as well. But I have it on. We have it on a system too. We moved over systems about a year and a half, 2 years ago. But I would have everything kind of backed up. But I have everything on my Excel sheet, so I can see someone. So John bought a car for me there in fucking July 2021. He paid this for it, right? Okay, grand. He's looking to trade it in. Okay, grand. I can see what we sold for everything at that. But yeah, I monitor that the whole time. But even it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to know. Even just so you know, how you know you're growing. Like for example, it's kind of hard to know sometimes how much money you're making in a business. You kind of have to see how the net worth of the business is progressing. And what I mean by that is like, if you might only have $5,000 in your business account, let's say for example, right? But like, geez, I thought I had a good month. I've only $5,000. How much cars have I outside there? Where's the money gone? Oh yeah, sure. I paid the mechanic for this and that. But it's a good way to do it, right? Which I used to be running off of. I was like, right, my total value of cars is $100,000. Let's say for example, whatever your figure might be, right? Okay, grand, and I have $20,000 in my current account. Okay, that's $120,000. Okay, how much money do I owe? Oh yeah, I owe $30,000 back to the stocking loan. Okay, grand. So that's now down to 90. Okay.
Yeah.
For the few other bits I owe, but I'm waiting on money to come in. And you'll say, right, I started with a $30,000 pot, and now when I calculate it up, I have $80,000.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Jesus, I must have made $50,000 in the last couple of months. That's one way of kind of looking at it. But like
that's what I was doing this morning as well, and it was the first time I did it because I was like, I haven't looked at, and then I was kind of thinking, I'm like, because I just have like now a couple of months of like all my statements or whatever, and I was like, alright, I'm gonna have to go all the way through every single statement, which is with car, all this sort of stuff. I have to do it anyway. Obviously,
what you do from now onwards is keep track of what you bought the car for, what you sold the car for, how much money you spent on the car. That's essentially right, and like keep it on, write it on Excel, keep it in a little folder, right? Even if you want to we have deal files basically here, so every car has a file, right? And you can keep the prep work that was, put an invoice inside in the car, put inside in the deal file, keep track of that, and then you will see how much money you spend a month. When you're starting off, it'll be pretty easy to monitor how much profit you're making a month, because you know your expense. Okay, I give Dundee €300 a month, I give this and that. You rent the premises, or
a 5-year lease on
that. Perfect. So my rent is this, my electricity's average out on this. Okay, grand. My break-even point is, let's say, $7,000 a month. Okay, grand. How much money have I made from these cars? Okay, great. I've made $17,000 profit from my cars this month. Okay, that's grand. $10,000. Okay, I made $10,000 net profit. I'm going to pay myself €1,500. That pick the figures out of thin air here. I can put away 8. So my net worth of the business has grown $8,000. Okay. Then you want to be saying, right, okay, in 12 months' time, where do I want to be? Okay, right, I would like another $100,000 added to my pot, and build it up like that. But you have to monitor it every month.
See, it's definitely something I want to do. It's definitely like, and I think again, if I was to, let's say, outsource the valeting and all the mechanic stuff, I could then focus my time on that sort of stuff. Like, I don't know if this is what you do or whatever, but I was kind of thinking of myself of like, let's say, because I'm only starting out now or whatever, it's like, okay, my Q1 to my Q2 has been 25% growth, so then let's see how Q3 to Q4 grows, and then after this full year, it's like, okay, I've done this, so can I set a target for next year to do 25% better in general or something like that? I need to work it out. I think it's probably not too bad. It's more just sitting down and doing the maths.
And even just doing the maths on it. Like I said, I'll give you that sheet, and you can just, it's a pretty simple Excel spreadsheet with a few formulas on it and things like that. Like, but it'll just kind of work, and it'll get your head straight. And it's like, but buy every car and make every decision through the lens of that sheet. And through the lens of, right, I'm going to make €1,700 profit on that particular car. I know, for example, last month I paid $13,000 for it last month. I made 2 profit out of it. Okay, grand. I'll buy more of them, right? Say for example, but everything is done through. Because if you're just looking at cars there, I think I'll do okay. So no, but did you not forget? There was a load of prep work in that last year. I remember you had a bit of bother. Remember there were run flats on it. I had to replace them. But you have to have that monitored. You have to know, because I just see. Okay, car I'm buying is like, I just see. Okay, that should sell well. Yeah, should do $2,500-3,000 out of that, or whatever it is. And but I know, because I monitored the expenses and monitored the money I've been spending on it.
Yeah.
So do that from the start and get into a habit of that. And
Yeah.
it's a good buzz then as well. Sometimes you don't know because if you say you're running around the place and I don't know what you're doing, but it's a good buzz. Say if you had a good month and you're like, it's a nice reaffirming thing. It's like I made 10 grand or whatever the figure is, 5 grand, 2 grand, 20 grand, whatever it is, and you're like,
yeah.
Must be doing something.
That's why we do it.
That's why we do it. And when you're growing a business, you don't like. Even now, like, you know, my business does well, and I have some cracking months. But I live on my salary that I pay myself, right? Which is good, but it's not it's not millionaire stuff, right? But it's good. Then you can see it's like.
But it's better to do that though, like.
Of course, yeah. And then you can kind of see it. Then you're like, oh, did well.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously I have to have a system now because I have so much fucking overheads and expenses, so I need to have everything monitored, or else to be chaos. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly.
And like, is there anything that's like, you know, maybe hinders the business because you just want to make the figures look good, or does that come into account of like, you know, you not having a good salary because you want your figures to look better? Or?
No, not really. No, I've gone past that point. Like, so if I know I put good money into my pension, for example, I pay myself a good salary, you know, and I save money on my salary. No, not really. Like, I've gone past, like, it's not a vanity project right anymore. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, the business is healthy. Do you know what I mean? And I just obviously pay 50% tax on nearly everything. Like, do you know what I mean? So I don't pay myself fucking $500,000 a year or something like that. Like, why would I? Like, Jesus Christ, it'd be mentally carried
next year maybe.
Yeah, next year maybe. Yeah. I don't think I ever will. Like, this is pointless. Like, because you just pay so much in tax. Like, but no, I pay myself what I need. Like, you know, and if and I don't get too like whether I pay myself a salary or whether you put it into your pension or whether you keep profit in the business. It's still all your money if you own a business. Like, just whatever way you allocated it. Like, you know what I mean? And in your stage of the business now, you'll get the most buzz off growing your pot and growing the business and growing your stock than you will off paying yourself a big salary.
Oh yeah,
you're you know, like, obviously get a few quid out of it that you need, like, and whatever. Like, don't need to go hungry, but like it is worth it. And when it gets to a point that you're able to pay yourself a decent salary out of your own business, and that's a buzz. Nice one. And you can pick your own wages.
But at the minute, it's like, for me, it's like I actually haven't even taken a salary from the business.
No, most lads don't. But like, but don't be. Once you know your, put it this way, right? If you know your numbers and you've it all backed up on a pen and paper or on a sheet, like, and you made 12 grand profit this month, like, pay yourself 2 grand out of it.
Yeah,
it's okay. Like, you know, don't be like. And if you've had a great month, like, give yourself, within reason, give yourself little rewards along the way. Bring the missus off for a fucking weekend. You're like, I had a fucking nice, I had a good month there now. Have something tangible to show for it, like, because you'll wear out if you're never getting any
like kind of little mini goals.
Exactly. That's what I do. Like, you know, so I said, like, work hard, keep money in the business, but like, give yourself little rewards. So it'll give you, because, you know, if you're doing well, you know, it's okay to fucking pack something back.
Well, I think there's that Irish thing of like, you don't. It's like sometimes it's like I know then it's like, oh yeah, I've made good profit or whatever, but then I'm still like, yeah, but I'm still not paying myself or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And then you're like sitting there eating like Coke noodles or whatever like that. Do you know what I mean? What
I do as well is, this one, do it whatever you want to, but I would, in your overheads, I would definitely pay yourself something anyway, right? And in your overheads, consider your wage. Maybe it's only $1,500 a month, whatever it is. That is one of your overheads, right? Yeah. Because if you don't, like, there's written plenty of books that say you have to pay yourself first, like, or you'll never get paid at all.
Yeah.
Like, if you just treat if your wages are like a lot of business owners, they go in and they don't pay themselves a wage. That's. I get the idea behind it, but I would pay yourself a wage. Pay yourself $1,500, $2 grand, pay yourself whatever you want, but pay yourself something, and that's part of your overheads. And it's like a psychological thing as well. It's like you have to. Well, it's like if you think your overheads are $5 grand a month, let's say, for example, but that's not including your wages, then you'll forget about your wages, like that. Whereas if you say my overheads are $7 grand a month, and that includes my wages, then you have to get 10 grand over the 7 grand out of profit from car sales. So you'd have to get 17 to hit your target, let's say, for example. And out of that, then you've also got your wages out of it as well. So that's what I did for you. I factor it in because it is an expense. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I've paid myself a salary every month since I opened. Maybe not the first month. From the second one onwards, it was small to start. It's grown up, and you know, it's gradually increased as I could afford it. But I always paid myself.
Because actually, I was listening to a book. And it was about your man saying about when he went to a mentor about for business help, like, and the mentor actually said to him, like, what else are you invested in? He's like, well, what do you mean? Like, he's like, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm doing my business, like, that's it, I'm just going to grow this one thing. And the mentor turns around, he's like saying, come back to me when you've invested in like the stock market or whatever. And he's like, sure, why would I do that? Why would I take the money out now? And he's like, you need to take, he's like, even if it's like 50 quid a month or something like that, you need to take something out to get into the habit of doing that thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what, that's actually pretty smart, like, you know. So then that's what I was thinking of. I need to probably start making these like habits or like systems of like, do this, even if it's small amounts, but like just that at least I know this is what I do, this is what I've, you kind of start to get used to it. Like,
I definitely do that. Like, don't.
Obviously, it's not going investing in property or something like that.
But again, invest in something like put a bit of money aside for this. Don't have every single euro you have just in your business, like, you know, because you need to gradually take money out of the business as well, like, you know. But again, just do it as you can afford it. But like the key to everything is this. I know it's obvious, but like, to focus on making more money. Like then, having money in the business solves everything. Like,
do you know what I mean?
Like I can't. Say for example, if we were making no money for selling cars, and one of the lads asked me for more money, I was like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Say if there's a problem here that I need to get fixed, we're getting new cameras for the podcast equipment, like rather than phones, right? But because the business is making money, I can afford them. I went to the podcast studio.
Here it is.
But like, if your business is making money, kind of everything else takes care of itself after that. Like your stresses go away. Like, you know, making money is cool, but like having been stuck for money is really shit. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So once you know what's
actually, do you know what, for me as well at the minute, it's like, because I'm trying to do that, like, I don't know, maybe I'm doing too much. Like, I'm trying to just put every single penny back into the cars, into stock. So like, I haven't done up my unit or anything like that. Like, and I'm like, do I spend? I think you used to have like the fancy tiles and stuff like that. I'm like, do I spend the money on that to make the business look better, or is that just an ego thing?
Yeah, I would be. Like, just keep it cheap and cheerful for the stuff in like, you know, have a nice photo area. I haven't checked out your photos really, but like, have a nice photo area. If you can do it on cheap, great. You know, if you have a bit of office space, great. Like, but if you can get a lot of things like even furniture off, like Jisk and like Nike and that's why I still do that. Like. But I wouldn't be investing big in things like have it clean, tidy and presentable. Doesn't have to be fancy.
Yeah.
I think that's the main thing. Just have it clean, tidy and presentable. I wouldn't be spending have a nice sign, but it doesn't have to be a fancy sign.
Yeah.
But again, have it clean, presentable, and I wouldn't be wasting big money. And for the money that's in the business, you need it in stock. Because stock is the thing that makes it money. Like, do you know what I mean?
So that was the one thing I was thinking is, do I, let's say, you know, okay, I think at the minute myself I have around 75 grand of stock. I was kind of thinking, do I take 5 or 6 grand out of that, put it into, say, doing up the unit a bit nicer, doing tiles, doing a kind of a nice photo booth area, doing like the office up a little bit or whatever, and then just get more sale on return cars.
Yeah,
that might look better.
Well, I like do both ideally. Like, get some sale return cars, get some cars from other dealers if you can at all. And what I would invest, if it's a case of like, for 2.5 grand I can get a class photo area, do it.
Yeah,
photos are everything.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like,
I literally just take pictures beside the bush that's outside my place now.
Again, I haven't checked out your pictures. Maybe I don't know. But like, if it's a case you can get a nice photo area, nice clean, nice background, nice lighting. That's worth doing. That's worth doing. So you always. How are we time wise?
Hour and 32.
Hour and 32. Right, we finish up in an hour and 40. Do you have any other questions you want to
actually, so the other thing is, I know one of your staff members is here, but I was just going to go into talking about hiring staff, about like how you hear a lot of people saying like that, obviously it's going to happen, but like that they won't care as much as you. So like, how much do you kind of trust people with running the business or with doing all that sort of stuff versus like, I know you can hire 2 people, it's going to be better than 1 person, but like
they're not going to care as much as you, but sure, how would you expect them to? Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. But like the only thing I was thinking,
what I mean is like, like what going you could
I was just thinking about like, is it different, because I'd be listening to podcasts all the time and people say that, but then I'd be thinking like, is it different with sales lads, because if they do better they get more commission, like.
Yeah, but sure, you're making money out of it.
Yeah. No, but do they care more because they get commission?
Well, yeah, like it's a job.
Yeah.
It's like when I was working for Bowden's and all that, like I wanted to make as much commission as possible.
Yeah.
Did I care about the business? Well, I did not care about it. Of course I wanted to do it. Why wouldn't I? Like, but like, your number one goal is to make money for yourself. But if that money if you get a salesman in and he makes a load of commission, that's great because you've obviously sold the cars as well, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you have to, a lot of lads, they can't do it. You have to let go a little bit, right? And if someone else can do something 80% as good as you, but they're doing it and you don't have to do it, be okay with the 80%. Like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
if you got two people, that's 160%.
It's 160. No, but it's true. Like, it's like someone saying, "Oh, I would have said something differently," or it's like the fucking photos of cars, for example. I'm neurotic with that as well. Like, it's neurotic word, it is a word. But like, I'm so specific with photos. I end up doing a lot with myself. Like, and you did 2 of them yesterday, and I was the angles were wrong. I had to redo them. But like, for the most part, some Philly can take photos and like, a bit different because I just like them all to be uniform. And the odd time they're like, would have done different myself. It's like, no, Paul, you can't do everything yourself, or you can't do them all yourself. So let it be. Do you know what I mean? But I think often as well, like, you think sometimes that other people wouldn't do it as well as you, but that's in your head. Like, but other people do things better than you.
I kind of wonder sometimes, like, how has your business grown because you have that little detail and you do the car, you take a picture a certain way, or
maybe,
you know?
Again, good training, show people how you'd like things to be done, and there's a lot of things that won't make much of a difference that you can get someone else to do as well. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and that someone else might even be better at too. Like, for certain things, like, say for example, like TikToks, like, for example, I'm in the bulk of the TikTok videos, even the business pages do, or fine, because my business, like, grand. Do you know, I do a lot of the buying with Paul as well, like, you know what I mean? But like, for selling cars, like, I let the lads deal with themselves. I know the lads will deal with just as well with the incoming inquiries I will, like, do you know what I mean? And because I treat them fairly and then they respect the business, and it's all. I think as well, if you're taking on people, like, treat them well from the start, get them involved from the start, be open with them from the start as well, and have targets with them from the start, and then and give them a bit of leeway, like, it can't be just a fucking you do this, you do that. Have a bit of autonomy in the job as well, and then it makes it a bit easier for them as well.
Yeah,
and I think it'll make it easier for you too.
In terms of as we're saying, obviously you with working for Bolan's and stuff like that, Hertz, like, with the kind of, like, I don't know that company, but I presume it's a bigger company. But like, I was talking to a few lads, and you get a few lads just saying, like, one lad was telling me about, like, all the training that he did with one of the big companies up in Dublin or whatever, and it's like there's all these little things of, like, he's like, when you're with a customer, drive by a shop that has, like, glass on the front, because then they're gonna look and see themselves in the mirror and see them driving in the car, and like, if you're in a nice, like, a M3 or something like that, like, drive them through the town, so like people are looking at them and stuff like that, like,
that's good idea.
But like, I don't know, like, how much of that, like, is there these kind of sales tactics that, like, work that aren't pushy salesy that you would do, or
they are. Like, we show people, we're not pushy salespeople here. We obviously we'll follow up with people. We will obviously ask for the deal on the day. Like, because some people want the car, but they just want to be nudged slightly, or maybe
I find that hard sometimes.
No, but like, it's like, if I, like, say for example, I'd like for a bit more for my own car. I'd like 9 for my own car. Okay, grand. If I can give you 9 for your own car, would we have a deal on it today? Ask them for the deal on the day. If you don't ask them, they won't get, like. But be nice about it. Like, do you know what I mean? But don't be forcing them, ringing them 15 times the next day, like. Do you know what I mean? Or just don't be trying to push. No, come on in. No, come on into the office. No one wants that.
Because that's what I'm like. I don't want to be like. But then I find that I'm not.
But you have to ask for the deal. You have to be a likeable cheeky. Do you know what I mean? As well.
Actually,
I thought some say, "Geez, that's a nice car." All right, check. Trying to buy it.
You
say it like, but again, I can tell you what I do, but like, that mightn't work for your style. But like, you have to ask for the business, and don't. And people, you're a salesman. People, like, again, don't be a sleazeball, like. But like, ask for the business. Show them around the car. Obviously, and also be a likeable person, and be sometimes. I always try and bring it back to humor. Some people you can't get them to be funny because they're boring, like they're miserable, like. But try and bring it to humor, because I'm more at ease and at myself. It brings it to my kind of comfort zone. My comfort zone is having to laugh at people. And I think the lads is do, like, to be fair, it's easier to sell like that.
Having the crack, basically.
So that kind of works for me, and that's a lot of the social media stuff that I've done. There was method to the madness as well. Like, I was trying to do it kind of a way. Car sales is a very bad name, and it's a bit intimidating. All these pushy salesmen in suits in a big glass showroom. They come in here and we're wearing wigs and we're having a laugh and we're taking this up. I was like, if nothing else, these lads are approachable because they're ridiculous. But it's true. That's why I did it. Like, do you know what I mean? And because that was my style of humor as well, and it was me. But you want to be approachable. Like, you've just even from meeting you today, you have a very nice demeanour about you, and you know, you wouldn't be in any way intimidating or pushy. Like, you know, some lads be like, oh, you're a typical salesman. It's like, I wouldn't want to do business. I'd buy a car from you.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm nearly like the opposite of that. Like, not pushing, not asking, or
you
like
have to be a little bit, because you lose out on deals.
Yeah.
Some people it's much easier for someone.
Need you pushed over the line. Like,
it's much easier for someone to not buy a car than it is to buy a car. And a lot of people, without even you being pushy, they're natural. Like, if you say to someone, "All right, Grant, sure, look, have a think about it anyway." But like, okay, I will have a think about it.
Yeah, that's what I say to people all the time.
Don't ever say that. Well, they do if you want, like, it's like.
But yeah, it's not a good thing to do. Yeah.
Most people, they know whether they want to buy a car or not. They don't really need to think about it. Like, do you know what I mean? Think about it. That's just like kind of a. You haven't answered some question for him or something like that. Like, it's like, all right, that's, you know, but just give him as much information as possible. You know,
in my head,
like somebody's.
Would you not have thought about the car before you came?
No, some people do genuinely want to think about it, and that's respect that. Like, of course, like, but if you don't ask, it's like, okay, grand, you're always trying to get it to the next step, basically. Anyway, and like, you know, say, grand, do you want to go through some finance figures on it? Perfect, no bother at all. Do you have any other questions on the car that I can help you with? You know, but try and get to a point where you're trying to find out what actual questions they have or why they're not doing the deal on the day.
Yeah.
All right. So
because I'd watch some of the, like, you know, I tried to watch some of the lads like car sales training videos, but like most of them they're all in America or whatever, and they're like, you know. Like, you get that sale, like, or you know,
I don't think that works here. As much as possible. But again, we finish on this now because people will be listening to this for the day. Like, find what works for you.
Yeah.
You know, Marty downstairs is a different way of dealing with people than Philly does, for example, and both them do sell plenty of cars. Like, do you know what I mean? Find what works for you. Don't be afraid to you know. Don't be encourage people to think about it anyway.
Yeah.
Like, again, there's a fine line, but like, you always have to ask for the business, and anyone that says will tell you have to ask for the business and ask for a deal on the day, because when someone leaves the garage, even if they want to buy a car, once they go away, they talk to their uncle. Oh, you're looking at buying a Nissan. I wouldn't buy that. I had one 20 years ago. Or they're like, no, actually, on second thoughts now, even though I do want the car, I'm actually going to think about, no, do you know what? It's a lot of money. I'll actually hold off for a couple of months. Whereas if you know, if someone comes in, they genuinely want to buy the car, even if you do sometimes a slightly better deal to get a deal on the day, we always ask for that. It's like, grand, okay, if we do 16 grand on the car, or whatever it is, would you do a deal today? And some people's like, you know what, I actually do want a car, and that's a good deal on the day, I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
So I think that's, you know, and you know, I think that kind of works, and you're kind of getting a nice balance between not being too pushy and actually making money.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
it's good. It's good to see somewhere like this as well, because even for me to have, like, you know, obviously you can have a vision in your head, but like, even like this is definitely something that I'd be like working towards now, and like, especially like, you know, with you and the lads, all like, you have to crack together and all that sort of stuff.
And it's like, this is achievable for people. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not a fucking genius around that. I just
did the work.
I just did a bit of work, got a bit of lucky at some stages, and you know, you just keep at it. You keep doing the same things month on month. And it just kind of compounds over time, and sure, you know, I'm happy enough what I have here now, but sure, we'll grow a little bit more.
See what happens.
See what happens, exactly, yeah. And if you need any other help along the way, or advice, you know where I am.
No, and thank you very much.
I hope this has been somewhat helpful, and I hope for anyone watching this that they got a bit of enjoyment out of it, or got a bit of insight into it, and we'll leave it at that.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much.
You're a gent.
No matter at all.
Thank you.
No matter.